Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and thank you for joining me this Wednesday evening for our Wednesday Live. I'm totally switching it up. Last week we did Christmas. This week we're going to do Halloween, and I've got some really cool projects that I want to share with you. First, I want to tell you that on the 19th of September, I have a workshop featuring the Poinsettia Suite. It's a card and tag. It's a box card and tag workshop. And please go to my blog and register for it. But that's on the 19th of September. I'm doing a card workshop using the Poinsettia Suite. So please don't miss that. Okay, so I got so excited working on these projects that I hope I have enough time to go through them all. But let me start with, you've seen these KRAFT pillow boxes. They come in the catalog. Let me just pull one out. You can take this pillow box and open it up, and you close the ends, and you can put a treat inside. And you can see that it's kind of got this, I guess, polka dot. Well, if you take your pillow box, we're going to take it apart, and then we're going to do some neat things with it. We're going to do some more things using embossing folders. Here's a project that I did using the pillow box, but I turned it inside out, and I embossed using that great spider web embossing folder, 3D embossing folder. And then I made a little tag. And this one, I used a stencil that is in the catalog that is kind of a really nice, it looks kind of it came last year. It kind of evoked the coffins when they had the black coffins. So I stenciled with some silver paste, and here's the silver embossing paste, and kind of made this neat outside for this box. And then I used some old velvet ribbon that I had, and of course this wonderful kind of webby silver ribbon. So that's a little box that we are going to make. And I guess I was inspired because some of my ladies said that they wanted to do some boxes for treats for their grandchildren. Here's our last box, and this box is just simply a pizza box that we're going to stencil, and then we're going to add a tag on it. This is a plain white pizza box, so we're just going to kind of jam it up. Lastly, I've made a couple of cards. This card is a card that I made using a winter stamp set and using a very old punch. It was a bat punch, and then using our cat punch. So we're going to put this together. And then lastly, I have a neat little pumpkin card that I made using the apple punch that is also in the annual catalog. So here are a couple of cards. They're Halloween-y, using the retired punch, the bat punch, but they're not all the way from a Halloween stamp set. They're using some of the products that you may have right in your stamping, your stamp room. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this pillow box right here, and let me show you how these are made. It's just KRAFT paper. That's all it is. And I'm using this wonderful 3D embossing folder that is a spider web. And I'm going to, instead of using this outside, I'm going to kind of move this a little bit like this. You know, I'm going to kind of bend it a little, and you'll see that it's got a seam right there. So I'm going to kind of bend at the seam, and it's put together with a piece of tear tape. So if I'm very careful, I can kind of use my fingers, and I can just very carefully kind of separate this I'm just kind of moving my finger down this seam. I'm just kind of separating it from the cardstock. There we go. And I'm just kind of moving my finger down the seam, and it's kind of, there we go. Okay, so it's going to split, and you may get some roughage there, but don't worry about it. Remember, this is a Halloween card. We're going to turn this around, and this is the side that we're going to use. Now, there's a couple of things that I use. Here is the stencil that I use to use this embossing paste in order to come up with this design here on my box. But tonight, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my embossing folder, my 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to make sure that I have my Stampin' Up! On the front, and I'm going to bend this tab back, and I'm going to put it in like this, and I'm going to emboss my folder just like that. Okay, so then here is what you'll get on the after you emboss it. So what we're going to do now, let me just kind of move in a little bit, is I'm going to take some purple. I really, really like the look. I really like the look of the purple and black. Okay, so I'm going to take some purple, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to sponge daub. I'm going to sponge daub my surface. And I'm kind of starting in the middle of where there's a in the middle of where there is a web. Let me see. Oh yeah, here we go. So you kind of see where there's the middle of a web, and I'm just kind of going like that, and I'm working out. So I'm going in the middle of it here, and I'm just kind of moving out like that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some basic gray, and I'm going to do the same thing with basic gray. Only I'm going to kind of maybe do the outside a little bit. I'm going to leave the center of my, leaving the center of my my spider webs are going to be kind of purple, and I'm kind of blending them together now. You can see all right, so that's going to kind of give a really good texture. You can see kind of the texture. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do some of my edges here. And this is going to be kind of a loop. And so to put this together, what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of tear tape, and we're going to put the tear tape right along here, because I want this outer piece to join my seam right there, because I've got some of this torn paper there, so I kind of want that to go right there. Let me grab a piece of tear tape, and we're going to go ahead and cut this like that right on this side. There we go. Okay. Now I can close this right here. I'm going to fold it down. All right, so there's my box. And then I'm just going to kind of fold this in like this, and I'm going to pinch it. And then this one also, you can see there's a little line. I'm going to fold it in, and then I'm going to fold it in like that. And I want this, this is the front of my box, so I want my flaps to kind of move away. So there's our box, okay? Looking kind of grungy, looking kind of spooky. So now all we're going to do is take a piece of this great ribbon that we have here, and this is kind of going to look like spider webbing. And I've already used this stamp set here. Let me show you. I'm using the Everything Essential stamp set, which comes with this punch, and I'm using this as my label. And I'm going to also take a piece, tag topper, because I'm going to grab some of this, and this is Highland Heather. I'm going to grab this Highland Heather, and this is going to be the tag that's going to go on top of my box. And you can kind of see how it picks up kind of my Highland Heather that I added on my box. But before I cut my tag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my mat here, because the other stamp set that I'm using is the Festive Corners stamp set, and I'm using this spider web right here. So I have that already on a block, and I'm going to grab my Highland Heather, and what I want to do is I just want to kind of create a background here. So I'm going to stamp there, and I'm going to stamp here, and that's going to create my kind of my spider web right there. Okay, and even if I want to, I could probably stamp a little bit more right there. Okay, so I have a nice, taking my corners, and I'm making kind of a nice background for my tag. And since this is my wonderful silicone, I can just wipe that off, and I no worries. All right, so now I'm going to grab my tag topper. This is a 2-inch piece of Highland Heather. I'm going to slip it into my tag topper right there. All right, and now I'm going to, I took a piece of black cardstock, and I embossed with silver embossing powder, and I'm just going to slip that right on top of my tag, and I could either pop it up, or I could just go ahead and glue it down. And I am just going to glue it down, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there, and then I'm just going to glue that right there. Now, isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? I think that is so pretty for a Halloween box. Now I'm going to grab, and this is the metallic ribbon, metallic mesh ribbon, and we're just going to grab this, and I'm going to bring it up like this, and we're going to roll it up, and we're going to put it right through here. Inspiration this week was to do some treat boxes. So I'm taking some of the things. These are non Halloween items that I'm kind of turning into a Halloween packaging for Halloween. Okay, so there you go, and look at this. Oh, this stuff is just wonderful. I love it. So there is your treat box that you can make, and it's all, you know, suited out for Halloween, and it's got this nice ribbon, and you can put some treats in there. Okay, the other option, of course, is that you could emboss using your embossing folder, and I'll have all that information on my blog. So that is that project. And I also wanted to show you this treat box. Do you see how shiny that is? What I did and with this treat box is that I took my embossing folder. It's a little messy, but I took my embossing folder and I put some of this frost white ink in the negative side, in the grooves. And then I did the same thing. I ran it through. And instead of this grunge look, I kind of got this pretty silvery look. So that's another technique, another effect that you can get using your embossing folder, turning your craft box upside down or inside out, and then just simply putting it back together. So here's another great idea. Okay, so those are the craft boxes. All right, let me put the craft boxes right there. And again, the craft boxes come in this pack, and you can get from the catalog, and you get 10 of them, and it's just super easy, nice, easy peasy way to come up with some packaging for gifts. All right, our next packaging, this is a pizza box. Now your pizza box comes like this, just it's white, it's food safe, because it's lined with plastic on the inside, and then it's just simply white cardstock. You can also get this in gold. So we're going to take our pizza box, and this is the front of the pizza box right here. So when you look at it, and I don't want to bend it because I want to keep it flat, because we're going to do some stenciling. This is the tongue. So this is the way the front of the box is going to look. This is the orientation. So we're going to have to stamp these sides here, because this is the bottom. We don't have to stamp this, but we do have to stamp the front. Now I'm going to use my stencil here, and again I want to use some of, I'm going to use this gray. I'm using basic gray because I really don't want a very harsh effect. I want a rather soft effect. And I'm going to grab my dauber. I'm just going to line it up, and I can kind of start here, and I kind of lined up the middle. I'm just kind of lining up. Here's this tab right here, and I'm using that as my middle guide. So I'm going to line up this little flourish right there, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just daubing. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to daub like this. But what we're going to do is I want to really get my my stencil here in the middle of my box. It's going to be darker than any of the other stencil. This can be kind of light, and then the stencil kind of, and because I'm trying to create, you see how that effect is? See that? So I'm kind of stenciling dark here. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm just kind of, again, stenciling all the way around like that. Now I'm going to, I don't really have to get these sides here, but what I have to get is going to be these sides right here. So I'm going to line this up here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to stencil along here. Okay, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to stencil this side flap over here. And make sure. Okay, now this is going to come up, so I want to make sure that I stencil this, and there we go. Okay, so there is our box stencil. Now what we can just leave it like this, but what I chose to do on the other box is, let me grab something for my fingers. you like how my nails match my stencil box? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of my purple, and I'm going to just do kind of like, I'm just going to do the sides of my box in my purple. Okay, and I just want to do the edges and the sides. I kind of like this. I like this dark look along there. I'm just going to kind of do. Okay. So there is our stencil. Now, all I'm going to do is, let me pull out so I can fold it. We're going to fold this up, and it's very easy to fold. You just flip these two pieces in here, and then they fall in these nice little slots. This folds over. It fits in that nice little slot. And then we just simply fold these pieces. And this folds nicely. There you go. There's our pizza box, okay? And I wanted a different look. Here are some other ribbon options. This is kind of a nice ribbon option. And then they have, and this is getting a little fancy, but I don't have the organza glimmer, black glimmer, but this is, I mean, look at this. Let's play with this one. This is the ribbon that comes with that really pretty, I think it's the icicle sets, or the snowflake. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me just pull it so you can see how pretty this ribbon is. And we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make this tag, only this tag, I'm going to just grab my stencil. I'm going to lay my stencil down right here. And then I'm going to grab some of my purple. We're just going to go ahead, and I'm just going to kind of go around here. And I'm just going to kind of create a little bit of interest there. Isn't that pretty? Again, using my stencil. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put this into my tag topper. Boom. And look at that. That is going to go right there. Let me just go ahead and glue that. Well, you know what I could do? I'm going to take a piece of this ribbon, and we're going to cut this. And I'm going to add a piece of this ribbon right here. Okay, we're going to let this ribbon sit right here like that. And then we're just going to lay that on top of here. And let me make sure I get enough glue on this. I've used, there we go. Now, I can't lift it up with my nails. Okay, this is going to adhere here, but then I can go ahead and I can kind of shred this a little bit so it has a little bit of a kind of a jagged edge. And then I'm going to take this very pretty iridescent ribbon, which picks up the purple beautifully. And we're going to tie it. And I'm going to add my tag right here. Stick it through there. And look at that. That is, move that up, and that is really pretty. I love that ribbon. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So now we have two different looks, kind of different patterns with how we stenciled. I kind of stenciled down the middle. This one I just stenciled the edge, and it's kind of a nice grungy glam kind of look for a package or a gift. So I'm sending these off to my sister, who is a nurse, because I know that she can use these to give out some gifts and some treats to some of the people that she works for, as she supports us during COVID. All right, so tons of boxes. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you how I made, and let me find my card. I know I had it here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I love this card. This card was made using a winter scene. I used the Snow Front stamp set. I used the Cat Punch, and this is available in the catalog. I used Rich Razzleberry ink, and I used these wonderful, and let me find, where are my, oh, here's my bats. Okay, here are my bat, this is my bat punch. You remember, this came out a couple of catalogs ago. I have to tell you, get punches. Punches last forever. Is the camera too low on the images? Let's see. I'm getting a message that the images are a little blurry. I don't know if the camera's a little too low. Are they still kind of blurry? I'm watching the same feed. I have a monitor that I'm watching the feed as I'm producing it here, and I do see, yes, I do see how this can be, looks like it's a little blurry, and it's kind of meant to be a little blurry, because what I've done here is I've taken these trees, and I used, you see, this probably comes out a lot clearer. This is clear embossing powder. I embossed on this paper using these stamps. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I purposely want this to look blurry, because it's kind of looking like a Halloween scene, and all you really want to see, because it's color on color, what I want you to see is that the trees are going to kind of shimmer as you move the card. So face on, it is kind of blurry. You can kind of see how crisp and clean this image is, but we're going to sponge this so we can kind of create kind of this ground fog look that's going to look kind of spooky with our black cat. So I took a piece of cardstock, and this is 5 1/4 by 4, because I'm going to put this on a piece of white, Whisper White, okay? So there's my card base, and here's my card. This is Rich Razzleberry. I used my Snow Front, my winter trees, and I stamped them on the front of my Rich Razzleberry, okay? And then I embossed using clear, and here it is. I used clear embossing powder, okay? So now I'm going to grab my stamp pad and my Rich Razzleberry, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to start, and I'm going to move this down to my glass pad, so you can just kind of, and let me move in a little bit so you can see. I'm just going to start kind of adding color, and this is all going to be very tone on tone. And what I'm trying to do is I just want to create kind of like a misty, foggish kind of background here. And I want most of that color band to be right about there. But I'm going to allow it to kind of go up the trees a little bit. Okay. Because it's going to kind of go up the trees. You kind of see how it's kind of progressing. Just a little bit, not a lot. I want most of it to go along here. And that's where I'm putting most of my ink. And then I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that I have some around the edge. Kind of like that look there around the edge. And it's okay if it gets kind of dark. It's a dark night. Also kind of think of that maybe as clouds, like a low cloud coverage, right? Okay, so there is my cardstock. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I have some black glimmer paper and I have some white glimmer paper. I also have some shimmer spritz. So the first thing I want to do is I want to grab a paper towel. I'm going to put this down and I'm going to just spritz this with some shimmer spritz. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of let that sit there. All right, so it's got a shimmer spritz on it and it's going to dry. Then I'm going to grab my black glimmer paper and I'm going to grab my cat punch. And I'm going to cut my cat. Okay, and so there's my cat. He's going to go right there. And then I'm going to grab, I have some bats I already cut. Let's see if there's a good bat here. I think I kind of let me get my bat punch because I'm just going to go ahead and cut these bats out. I love this bat punch. Always get your punches. Punches. Then I have a 1-inch circle punch, and I'm going to cut my moon. It's going to be out of my 1-inch circle punch right here. And I'm going to grab a bat. Let me see which one do I want. I like this one. I like this one here. I'll put this one right there. And I'm just going to add some regular glue. The back of my bat right here. And we're going to put that on, I'm going to put that on my moon. Like that. So my moon's going to go right there, okay? And then my cat, and you can see my glimmer. See how pretty that shimmer is? So now I'm going to punch my cat up, and I have some black dimensionals. I'm going to put our black dimensionals on our black cat. And let me pull these off. Okay, so my cat, I want to put my cat kind of right between my trees right there. He's going to go right about there. My pretty night cat. Isn't that pretty? Let me make sure he's straight. Yeah, there he is. Okay. And then I'm going to grab a couple of dimensionals. And I'm going to get an itty bitty dimensional over here. And I have itty bitty black dimensionals that I can pull up. And I can put on the corner of my bat. Okay, so now I have my moon and my bat. Let me turn this around. Okay, and there is my card. Isn't that pretty? And now all I have to do is go ahead and put this on my Whisper White card, and it's easy peasy. There it is. There it is. There's the outside of my card. Now the inside of my card is going to come from the Celebrations and Tidings set, and it has a wonderful sentiment in here for Halloween that says happy haunting. So let me bring back my silicone mat. I'm going to use my look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Happy haunting. I just think that is just beautiful. Now I forgot something, and I'm going to do it now because I don't want you to forget this part. Okay. In this set right here, let me find it. Okay. In this Everything Essential set, do you see these tiny little bats? All right. We're going to take these tiny little bats, and I already have them on a block, and we're going to stamp them. We're going to stamp them kind of across this horizon. And look at what it does. It kind of really picks up. You see how they're stamped across the horizon there? It really kind of adds a little bit more to your card. You see the bats in the background. Does that is that light better for you guys? Let me know. Okay, I just love this because this is not your standard Halloween. This is a soft snow. The snuffs, and you can make a Halloween card out of it. So this is one of my favorites. Okay. I'm going to make a pumpkin out of this apple punch. And it's going to be very, very easy. And I'm going to show you how. On top of it, we're going to mount it on a spring so that it does this. Isn't that cute? Isn't that a cute kid card? And then we're using the plaid, and this plaid comes from the plaid tiding set, and this is in the mini catalog, and we're going to create this fun card. So let me pull in my products here. What you're going to need to make this card is you're going to need your wonderful, these are my favorite dies. You're going to need your stitch shaped dies, the largest circle, okay, and you're going to cut that out of black cardstock. And then you're going to take a piece of, and this is Whisper White, and this is going to be, let me pull out here, this is going to be your base card. Let me go ahead and okay, so I creased it. So there it is. Here's my base card. I'm then going to have a layer, and this layer is 5 1/4 by 4, and it's in black. And then I'm going to cut a piece of plaid, and I like this plaid here. I'm really liking the black and the purple kind of Halloween-y look. And that is at 5 by 3 3/4. Okay, and that's what we're going to layer. Now I pulled this, and I believe this is Cajun Craze. I believe this is Cajun Craze. And okay, so this is Cajun Craze. I just want to make sure I had the right color. And this is what I'm going to cut my apple out of. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to punch my apple, my pumpkin. And I don't need any of these other pieces because actually I'm going to, we're going to cut some other pieces out of some mini black glimmer paper. And if what I do need out of gold is I want to take a piece of gold cardstock and I want to cut my stem. So I'm going to stick my stem right there and I'm going to cut that. Okay, so there's my stem. That's my stem for my pumpkin. Now I'm going to move these aside, and what I'm going to need is I'm going to need a you can use just a round tool. Let me pull in here. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go around like along the outside because I'm making the ribs of my pumpkin. And I'm just going around like this. And I'm going around like this. I'm going around like this. And then I'm going around like that. Okay, there's my pumpkin. Now I can take this and I can deepen them a little. It's okay. But there you go. It should look very pumpkinish. All right. So that's going to be our pumpkin, and there's going to be our little stem. Now I have this little piece of glimmer paper, and I have some of the adhesive backing on it because I'm going to bring in 2 punches that are going to help me with the eyes and are going to help me with the mouth. Okay. These are 2 punches that they may be retired, but I just want to kind of point out how you can go through your punches and you can find shapes that you might be able to use for other purposes. One of the most famous punches, I think, is the owl punch that everybody uses for all kinds of other projects. But I'm going to use this triangle here for my eyes, and then I'm going to use this half smile for my mouth. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm just punching 2 triangles like that. Okay, and then I'm going to put that punch aside, and then I'm going to use this half smile here. I'm going to open that up, and then I'm just going to slip my glimmer paper, and there's my smile. Now we're going to have to do, and I'm going to bring in my sample. We're going to do a little bit of change up with these because they're a little too triangle-y if you kind of see them when you put them on the card. I kind of want to have a little indentation here. Let me pull in so I can show you what I want to do. I'm trying to build a little bit of indentation here so those look like eyes. I don't want them to be perfect triangles, right? Okay, I really don't want to. So I've got a circle punch here, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to knob off the corner of my triangle. Okay, just knob off the corner of my triangle. All right. They may not be the same, but they're close enough. Okay. So now what I have is I have some, they look like they're little eyes. Okay. See, they kind of look kind of eye-ish. Boy, that one really, let me see how I can. I'm just going to grab my scissors and so there we go. There we go. That's what I'm trying to create. You see how we kind of have, see that? It kind of looks like little eyes. Okay, the mouth, this is a difficult one as well, so hang with me here. We're going to have to, and here with my pattern, I just kind of cut a V at the bottom. Okay, I'm just cutting a tiny little V at the bottom. You turn it around. You can see the, probably better if you turn it, if you cut it this way so you can see what the heck you're doing. And then I'm going to cut the V at the top. And these are supposed to be kind of looking like their teeth. These little tooths are popping out. Okay. All right, so there is his smile. Now you can see he's got kind of a crooked smile. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Cajun craze here before I put everything on, and I just kind of want to touch this up around the edge just a little bit. Okay, and I just want to kind of brush it down the middle. All right. Okay, and that kind of gives my pumpkin a little bit more pumpkinness. Okay. There. Kind of gives my pumpkin a little bit more pumpkinness. If there's such a thing, then that's what I just bestowed upon my pumpkin. Okay. So now comes the tricky part in Katrina's nails, is I'm going to have to separate this thing. And I'm going to use my little poker tool here. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this paper up carefully. Okay, there it is. Now this is, I don't know why this thing is this way. There we go. Okay, so I want this eye to be here. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Pull off this piece. Okay, so you can kind of see how I kind of have little pumpkin eyes. And now I'm going to put my little pumpkin mouth right there. And now I have a little pumpkin mouth. That's not bad for, it's not bad for once being an apple, right? And then I'm going to grab some glue, and we're just going to go ahead and put a little bit on the back. And I'm going to put my little stem right there. All right, so there is my pumpkin. Now I'm going to put Mr. Pumpkin, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And let me see, where did my dimensionals go? Oh, here they go. And my black circle. So let me grab some dimensionals. I'm just going to knock that one down there. Make sure my Oops. Make sure my stem stays on, my pumpkin stem. All right, and then we're just going to take these off. Sorry, I'm out of camera. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put our pumpkin right there. Okay, so there's our pumpkin. Now I'm going to, let's put the rest of our card together. I'm just going to grab my Whisper White and some glue. And I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Like that. And then I'm going to put this one down. I feel like I'm like fumbles because my nails are all full of glue. I'm going to put that one like that. Okay, now we're going to take our spring, and our spring has kind of a hard edge and a soft edge. One edge bends, the other one doesn't. Okay, so the soft edge, and again, I'm going to need my picker tool here. So I'm going to kind of pick up that side, and then I'm going to pick up this side. And we're going to place that in the middle of our disc. Now we're going to pick up the adhesive on the back, and this is the piece that goes on the card. Well, let's make sure we have this the right orientation, and we're going to go ahead and put that one right there. Okay, then we're going to grab a couple of bats, a couple of shimmer bats, and we're going to put our bats are going to go right there and there. And that is our card. I'm going to put some glue right there. Put that one there. And this is going to be another happy haunting card, because that is the sentiment I'm going to put inside when I finish it off. I hope I'm getting some glue here. It doesn't look like it's really working for me. There we go. Wow. So, what have we done tonight? We have done, let me pull out, we have created some cards that didn't start out as Halloween cards. The products that we made them from were here. This was simply the apple punch, which is in the catalog, right? And then we also took another stamp set that is not a Halloween stamp set, these trees, and we created some really pretty cat cards, kind of a spooky winter cat in the, kind of looks like the spooky bayou out in the spooky bayou by New Orleans, where the voodoo witches are about. And then we also created some really nice boxes that we could use for treats and spooky treats. And I have two of them over here. And this one we use products from the, now this was meant to be a Christmas item, and we're using that for this real pretty box. And then there we go. I think that's a pretty good collection of neat projects that you can put together that really don't take any time. We're using our embossing folder. We're using a stencil, and this really wonderful 3D embossing folder to create all these different effects. So there you go. Let me see. You must have stock in Tombow. Yes, I do have stock in Tombow. Yes, I do have stock in Tombow. You wouldn't believe the drawer I have that's just all full of Tombow. So hopefully you enjoyed our projects tonight. I had a lot of fun putting them together. I had a lot to go through. I started right out. It's like 5 after 8, so I'm going to give you back the rest of your evening because I like to be on time. So thank you so much for joining me. Stay well, be happy, and come back next week. We'll be probably come back around. Maybe we'll do some autumn. Give me some ideas. You inspired me because you were doing packaging for your grandkids. Give me some more ideas, and I'll come up with something. Here's just some ideas that you can use with products from the catalog that are there all the time that you can use. Okay. Thank you so much, and God bless. Kat Chancellor, Stamp Art Connection, stampartconnection.com. Happy stamping.